World War I, also known as the Great War, was a global conflict that lasted from 1914 to 1918. The war was primarily fought in Europe, but it also had a significant impact on the rest of the world. It was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, with an estimated 16 million people losing their lives. The war began on July 28, 1914, when Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, following the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This event was the spark that ignited the powder keg of alliances and treaties between the major European powers. Before the war began, Europe was divided into two main alliances, the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente. The Triple Alliance, also known as the Central Powers, was composed of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. The Triple Entente, also known as the Allied Powers, was composed of France, Russia, and the United Kingdom, among others. When Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Russia, who had a treaty with Serbia, mobilized their army to support them. Germany, who was allied with Austria-Hungary, saw this as a threat and declared war on Russia. This led to a domino effect, with other countries joining the war due to their own alliances and treaties. The war was characterized by trench warfare, in which opposing forces fought from trenches that were dug into the ground. These trenches were often located just a few hundred yards apart, and both sides were unable to make significant gains. The use of new technologies, such as tanks and chemical weapons, also resulted in heavy casualties. The trench warfare also led to the development of new tactics such as creeping barrages, which involved artillery firing ahead of the advancing troops to clear the way for them. One of the most significant events of the war was the entry of the United States into the conflict in 1917. The United States had remained neutral for most of the war, but German submarines were sinking American ships, and the Zimmermann telegram, a secret message sent by Germany to Mexico urging them to join the war against the United States, was intercepted by the British, which led to the U.S. entering the war. The U.S. brought significant resources and manpower to the Allied side, which helped to tip the balance of power in their favor. In 1918, the tide of the war began to turn against the Central Powers. The German army, which had been on the offensive for much of the war, was now in retreat. On November 11, 1918, an armistice was signed between the warring parties, effectively ending the conflict. The Treaty of Versailles, which was signed in 1919, officially ended the war. The treaty imposed heavy penalties on Germany, including the loss of territory and the payment of reparations. These terms contributed to the economic and political instability in Germany that eventually led to the rise of Hitler and the start of World War II. World War I had a profound impact on the world. It resulted in the loss of millions of lives, the displacement of millions of people, and the destruction of entire cities. It also led to the collapse of several empires and the emergence of new nations. The war also had a significant impact on the way wars were fought in the future and the role of technology in warfare. It also led to the formation of the League of Nations, an organization established to promote peace and prevent future conflicts. The war also had a significant impact on society and culture. The disillusionment and trauma caused by the war led to a rejection of traditional values and the emergence of new forms of art and literature. The war also led to significant social and political changes, such as the rise of communism and socialism, and the women's suffrage movement. Many women had taken on jobs traditionally held by men while they were away fighting, and this experience led to a push for women's rights and greater participation in the workforce. The war also had a significant impact on the economy, causing inflation and unemployment to skyrocket. The huge debt incurred by the war also led to economic instability and contributed to the Great Depression of the 1930s. World War I also had a significant impact on the colonial empires of Europe. The war weakened the European powers, allowing for the rise of independence movements in their colonies. This led to the decolonization of many countries in Africa and Asia, and the emergence of new nations. In conclusion, World War I was a global conflict that lasted from 1914 to 1918. It was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, and had a profound impact on the world. The war was characterized by trench warfare, and new technologies such as tanks and chemical weapons resulted in heavy casualties. The entry of the United States into the conflict in 1917 helped to tip the balance of power in favor of the Allies. The Treaty of Versailles officially ended the war in 1919, but its consequences would be felt for decades to come. The war had a significant impact on society, culture, economy and politics, leading to significant changes in the world order.